1 ton of old cell phones contains 350 grams of gold. 350 times more gold than 1 ton of ore from the best gold mine on the planet. And listen to this. That material isn't underground. It's sitting in a drawer, in an office, in a warehouse, and whoever has it actually pays for someone to take it away. I'm Pablo, and today we're going to look at 10 recycling machines that almost nobody imports. With each one, I'm going to give you the exact business idea, who buys the output, where the raw material comes from, and how money is made from it. Not just what the machine does, but the complete business built around it. Listen carefully to this. Machine number 6 works with a type of waste that is sitting in your house right now. And don't lose sight of it, because machine number 10 is the only one on the entire list that gets paid twice for the exact same material. Let's get started. Machine 1. Plastic pelletizer. 20 minutes ago, someone drank a soda and threw away the bottle. Right now, that bottle is sitting in a bag on its way to a truck. Let's follow it. If it ends up in the landfill, that's where it stays. 100 years, 200 years, who knows? But if someone collects it first, that bottle goes into a plastic pelletizer. And inside that machine, something interesting happens. The machine shreds it, melts it using a twin-screw system, and spits it back out as plastic pellets. Small, uniform spheres. That's the exact format in which factories buy raw material. They don't buy bottles, they buy pellets. Listen to this. The machine doesn't commit to just one type of plastic. It eats polyethylene, polypropylene, ABS, polycarbonate, PET, practically everything you can find in a trash bag. And it processes between 80 and 300 kilograms per hour using only 1,500 watts of power, about the same as a large hairdryer. So, where's the business opportunity? Here's the part that almost nobody understands. The raw material isn't purchased, it's collected. Residential complexes, schools, office buildings. You place a container, pick it up once a week, and they thank you for taking it away. On the other side are packaging factories, textile fiber manufacturers, and plastic parts manufacturers. Those companies buy pellets all year long with no off-season. The machine costs around $3,250 and fits against a wall that's only 1.5 meters wide. A garage is more than enough. And there is the bottle. The exact same bottle that someone threw away 20 minutes ago, now transformed into the material a factory needs tomorrow. But plastic is the obvious waste material. Everyone sees it. There's another material, also discarded, also free, that the entire world is fighting over right now. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel. Because later in this video, there's a machine that works with something you have stored in your house right now, and I don't want you to miss it. Perfectly understood. The opening story needs to be short, a quick hit, so the B-roll gets to the machine as fast as possible. The machine is the visual star, not the anecdote. Here come blocks 2 and 3 with shorter openings. Machine 2, mini copper granulator. The entire world is fighting over copper. An electric car uses several times more copper than a gasoline-powered car. Every solar panel, every wind turbine, every battery demands copper. Mining companies are digging deeper than ever to get it out of the ground. And in the meantime, there are discarded cables lying around on construction sites, in workshops, and in remodeling projects. Cables that people sell by weight as mixed scrap metal, without knowing what's actually inside them. Because inside those cables, there is pure copper. The problem is that it's wrapped in plastic, and that's where it loses its value. This machine solves exactly that problem. It bites into the cable, shreds it, and separates the copper from the plastic using the difference in weight. No water, no chemicals. On the other side, 2 products come out, not one. Clean copper granules and ground plastic. Both can be sold. It processes cables ranging from 1/10 of a millimeter up to 30 millimeters thick. It also separates aluminum. And pay attention to this detail, because it's rare to find it in the specifications of an industrial machine. The manufacturer states that it was designed for processing in a small factory and for operation in a residential garage. That's what the manufacturer says, not me. It measures 1 meter in length and 60 centimeters in width. It weighs 320 kilograms. The business is built by buying scrap wire from electricians, construction sites, and scrapyards who sell it cheaply because to them, it's just tangled garbage. Then you sell the granulated copper directly to smelters, which pay much better for clean metal than they do for mixed scrap. $2,219. It's one of the smallest machines in this entire video. And speaking of hidden metals, that is only the appetizer. Later on, there's a machine where you can't even see the metal, and it's worth quite a bit more than copper. Machine 3. Used oil purification machine. Let's do some math. An auto repair shop changes oil every single day. They can't pour that used oil down the drain. It's hazardous waste, so they have to pay someone to take it away. That's the first part of the equation. You get paid to receive the raw material. Now for the second part, that black dirty oil isn't damaged. It's contaminated. It contains water, dissolved gas, and metallic particles from the engine. What this machine does is remove all of that. It filters, dehydrates, and degasses. 50 liters per minute. The oil comes out with less than 50 parts per million of water and less than 1/10 of 1% gas content. It becomes standard grade oil again, ready to be used. So let's add it up. They paid you to take it. And now you have a product you can sell. The same material twice. But there's something else. And it's the part that almost nobody notices. This machine doesn't work only with motor oil. It also purifies hydraulic oil, turbine oil, and transformer oil. That opens up an entirely different business. Purification services for industry, factories, power plants, machinery fleets. They don't want to buy brand new oil every time. They want someone to come in and recover the oil they already have. And that service isn't billed once, it's billed every single month. $3,000, 2 meters tall, 800 kilograms. Now let me ask you something in the comments. If you had to start tomorrow, would you go with plastic, copper, or oil? Write down which one and why. I'm genuinely interested. So far, we've worked with liquids and metals. The next machine does something different. It takes two waste materials that have absolutely nothing to do with each other and turns them into a solid material that doesn't exist in nature. Machine 4. Wood plastic extruder. I'm going to be honest with you about this one. It doesn't fit on a table. It's 4.5 meters long and weighs 2,600 kilograms. It consumes 37 kilowatts of power, and it costs $7,000. So why is it in this video? Because this is the exact moment when someone stops selling processed waste and starts selling a finished product. This machine takes two things that nobody wants: sawdust, which sawmills give away or burn because they don't know what to do with it, and recycled plastic. It mixes them together, melts them using a 65mm conical twin screw system, and pushes the material through a mold. What comes out on the other side doesn't exist in nature. It looks like wood. It cuts like wood, but it doesn't rot, water doesn't penetrate it, it never needs painting, and no termite will ever eat it. It's called wood plastic composite lumber, and the people who manufacture it don't sell kilograms. They sell linear feet of decking for patios, fencing, and boards. Construction companies buy it, outdoor projects buy it, and in many places natural wood is becoming more and more restricted. It produces between 120 and 200 kilograms per hour. Siemens motor, ABB inverter. And here comes the detail that really matters. It can produce profiles, pipes, sheets, and even pellets. One single machine, 4 different products depending on the mold you install. It's expensive, yes, but look at what you're buying. You stopped being the person who collects the waste. Now you're the one who manufactures the product. If you've made it this far, subscribe to the channel. What's coming in a few minutes is the most expensive machine in this entire video, and also the only one that works with real gold. Machine 5. Hydraulic baler. 2 people collect exactly the same amount of cans. Same weight, same effort, same truck. One of them makes considerably more money than the other. The difference isn't in how much they collected. It's in how they delivered it. Because a loose can is mostly air. When you haul a truck full of uncompressed cans, you're transporting air and paying to move it. And the smelter, which knows that, pays you less. This machine does one thing, and it does it well. It crushes. It applies hydraulic pressure until mountains of loose material become dense, uniform blocks. And the interesting part is that it isn't limited to aluminum. It processes plastic, paper, metal, and wood. It's semi-automatic, so you don't need technical experience to operate it. ISO certified. Now for the business. It's not about collecting more. It's about delivering better. You buy loose material from local recyclers, who sell it cheaply because for them, it just gets in the way. You compact it, and then you sell it in bale form to smelters and large recycling companies, which pay a better price because you're reducing their transportation costs and their furnace costs. You can also charge for the service itself. There are stores and warehouses that don't have enough space for their own recyclable material. You charge them to compact it for them, $4,000. Notice something. Up to this point, every metal we've talked about is visible. You can see the can, you can see the wire. But the next machine works with a metal that is hidden, one you probably don't even realize is there, inside a device that's most likely sitting in one of your drawers right now. Machine 6. Electronic circuit board metal recovery machine. Here it is. The first expensive machine in this entire video. $29,999. And the only one that works with real gold. Go to a drawer in your house. That old cell phone you don't use anymore. The computer that broke and that you never threw away. The charger, the remote control, the motherboard. Inside every one of those devices there is a circuit board. And inside that circuit board there is gold. Real gold in the connections, in the contacts, in the pins. Now listen carefully to this number because it's the number that opened this video. 1 ton of cell phones contains around 350 grams of gold. The best gold mine on the planet, the richest one that exists, produces between 1 and 4 grams per ton. 350 times more, in the trash. And it's not just gold, there's also silver, copper, palladium, and cobalt. More than 60 elements from the periodic table are inside an ordinary electronic device. What does this machine do? It shreds the circuit boards until they become tiny fragments, and then it separates them by density and by magnetism until the metals are left on one side and everything else on the other. On the output side, you get copper, gold, and silver. It processes between 100 and 1,000 kilograms per hour using 7.5 kilowatts of power. It carries CE certification. But now comes the part that makes this machine different from all the previous ones. In every business we've looked at so far, the raw material is free. Here, it isn't free. Here, it has a negative cost. Think about it. An office, a school, a hospital, a technology company, they all have damaged electronic equipment piled up in a storage room somewhere. They can't throw it into the regular trash because it's hazardous waste, and they don't know what to do with it. So they pay someone to take it away. That someone can be the person who owns this machine. They get paid to receive the material. Then they extract the copper, the gold, and the silver and sell them to refiners. You get paid to take it in. You get paid to sell it. And in the middle, there's gold. That's the reason this machine costs $30,000, and there are still people lining up to buy it. It's expensive, but it's the only machine in this video where the material arrives already paying you. Now, we said something at the beginning of this video. That machine number 10 is the only one that gets paid twice for the exact same material. And you might be thinking that we just described exactly that. Getting paid to receive it, getting paid to sell it. Well, it's not the same thing. What machine number 10 does is different, and you still haven't seen it yet. Machine 7, Lithium Battery Recycling Line. There is something that barely exists yet. In most countries, there is almost nobody recovering lithium in an organized way. Nobody. The industry is practically empty. And in the meantime, every year more electric cars are sold, more cell phones are sold, more cordless tools are sold, more electric bicycles and scooters are sold. All of them with lithium batteries. All of them with an expiration date. Those batteries can't be thrown away. They're hazardous waste. Inside them, there is lithium, cobalt, nickel, and manganese, metals that new battery manufacturers need and that today are still extracted from mines. This line takes the battery apart. It electrically discharges it so that it is safe to handle, shreds it, and separates the components. On the other side, three things come out: copper, aluminum, and what the industry calls black mass. That black powder is where the lithium and cobalt are. It's what refiners and battery plants buy. It carries CE certification and comes with a 2-year warranty. And it's a complete processing line, not a standalone machine. Nearly 15 tons of equipment, $20,000. Now then, the business here isn't about going out and looking for batteries on the street. It's in the places where they naturally accumulate on their own. Cell phone repair shops, tool stores, electric bicycle distributors. All of them have a box full of dead batteries that they don't know how to legally dispose of. And that's the real advantage of entering an empty sector early. When you're the only one solving the problem, you don't compete for the material. The material comes looking for you. What comes next is different from everything we've seen so far, because the machines we've looked at separate, clean, and compact materials. The next one completely destroys an object and turns it into 3 products that look absolutely nothing alike. Machine 8, Tire Pyrolysis Plant. A tire goes in on one side. 3 things come out on the other side, and each one has a different buyer. This is not a metaphor, it's what this plant does. The process is called pyrolysis. It consists of heating rubber to extremely high temperatures, but without oxygen. Without oxygen, there is no fire, there is no combustion. The material simply breaks down into its individual components. And there are 3 components. First, fuel oil. It is the largest fraction of the tire, and it is sold as industrial fuel. Second, carbon black, a black powder that rubber manufacturers and paint manufacturers buy as a raw material. Third, the steel wire that runs inside the tire. It comes out clean and it gets sold as scrap metal. 3 products, 3 markets, 1 single input material. And that input material, listen carefully, costs nothing. Tire shops pay for someone to take away their old tires. They pile up, they take up an enormous amount of space, and there is nowhere to put them. A tire can sit in a landfill for centuries without decomposing. Now let's speak plainly. This plant processes between 20 and 30 tons per day. It weighs 15 tons. It's built from boiler-grade steel, and it costs $32,000. It's not for a garage, and I'm not going to tell you that it is. This is a real industrial operation, with permits, with space requirements, and with personnel. But look at what that money buys. A material that other people pay to get rid of, transformed into 3 simultaneous streams of revenue. And even so, it still isn't the machine that gets paid twice. That one is still waiting for us. Machine 9, Glass Crusher. A piece of glass that falls into a landfill today will still be there a million years from now. I'm not exaggerating. Glass doesn't degrade. It doesn't rot, it doesn't rust, and bacteria don't consume it. It simply remains. And that is exactly why it is the safest raw material in this entire video. It never runs out, it never stops arriving, and whoever has it wants to get rid of it. After the machines we've just talked about, this one comes as a relief. $7,000, 2.5 meters tall, and it does something very simple. It bites into glass and turns it into controlled size fragments. It processes everything from 1 millimeter sheets to pieces up to 40 millimeters thick. And depending on the model, it can output anywhere from 4 tons per hour to 20 tons per hour. Now, that crushed glass has a name in the industry. It's called cullet, and glass manufacturers buy it for one very specific reason. Cullet melts at a lower temperature than sand. In other words, it lowers their furnace energy bill. That's why they pay for it. But there's a second market, and that's the one almost nobody sees. If you crush it more finely, you don't get cullet. You get glass sand. And that glass sand is used by construction companies as an aggregate in concrete, in specialty pavements, and in decorative fills. Where does the material come from? From the places where it accumulates on its own. Bars, restaurants, event venues. Every night, they generate boxes full of empty bottles, and every morning they have to get rid of them. A fixed collection route 3 times a week, and you've got the glass output of an entire city. Now, here we are. We've reached the last one. The only machine in this entire video where the exact same material pays you twice. 1 second before the final machine. If anything you've seen so far has been useful to you, subscribe to the channel. It's free, and it helps us a lot. And if you ever feel like buying us a coffee, the button is right down below. But honestly, just subscribing is already more than enough. Machine 10, Mobile Rubble Crusher. Here it is, the one we've been teasing since the very beginning. And to understand it, don't look at the machine. Look at what happens during a demolition. When a house, a building, or a concrete slab is torn down, what remains is a mountain of debris. Broken bricks, concrete, ceramic, stone. And that mountain becomes a problem, because construction on the new project can't begin until the debris is gone. So the construction company does what everybody does. It pays someone to take it away. There's the first payment. Now comes the material itself. That debris goes into a mobile jaw crusher. The machine bites into it and sorts it by size. What comes out is called recycled aggregate, and it's used for road bases, trench backfill, and pavement foundations. And who buys recycled aggregate? Another construction company, because it costs considerably less than natural aggregate extracted from a quarry, and for a road base it performs exactly the same. There's the second payment. The same material, the same machine. 1 single process and 2 invoices. You get paid to remove the problem, and you get paid to sell the solution. This is a mobile jaw crusher with PLC control, capable of processing up to 650 tons per hour. $44,800, 12 meters long. It can be transported and installed directly at the job site itself. It's the largest machine in this video. But it's also the only one where the waste isn't just raw material. It's raw material that arrives already paying you. 10 machines, 10 businesses, and if you look closely, they all have one thing in common. It's not the technology, it's not the size, it's where the material comes from. In every one of these businesses, the raw material isn't bought, it's collected. And in several of them, not even that. People pay you to take it. That's the part almost nobody understands about recycling. The margin doesn't depend only on how much you sell it for. It depends on your input cost being 0 or on the input actually paying you. Now tell me something and answer me in the comments. Out of these 10, which one would you build? Write the number. And if you live in a city where one of these already exists, or where none of them exist yet, tell me that too, because that says a lot about where the real opportunities are. And if you're still hungry for more, right there on the screen, I'm leaving you another video featuring machines, different from these ones. I'll see you over there.